don't really know how to describe it, but there is yarn in this bag that I plan on sharing with you. Hey guys, I'm Kristen, also known as Voolenvine, here on my YouTube channel, on Ravelry, on Instagram, where I'm most active when it comes to social media, and pretty much everywhere else on the web. And as always, I'm so happy that you're taking some time out of your day to chat about all the knitting, all the sewing, all the making, or whatever crafty rabbit hole I happen to be diving down this week. So if you are a returning viewer, welcome back. If you're a new viewer, welcome to the podcast, the show, the channel, whatever you want to call it. I hope you guys enjoy. If you are into sewing, knitting, and crafty chat type stuff, you know, feel free to like and subscribe below. I upload a new video every Friday, although last week was an exception because it was my birthday weekend, so I took some time off. So thank you very kindly for your patience as I just indulged in a bit of making time last weekend. But yeah, I'm back this week with lots to catch you up on. There was Vogue Knitting Live that happened, so I have a little bit of a haul to share with you. I unfortunately do not have any sewing to share with you, so yeah, that is a segment for the following week. But you know, hopefully all the yarny goodness will make up for that stuff. But I do want to say thank you so much to everybody for all the birthday wishes, and it really did mean so much to me. It brightened up my day even more. And I know on Instagram there's the hashtag Fiberary challenge. I'll pop it in the down bar below, but it's a Fiberuary. It's a play on February plus the word fiber, but it's a hashtag started, it's a photo challenge and hashtag started by Creative CC on Instagram, and it's really just a fun kind of photo challenge, you know, that everyone can partake in and share, you know, what they're making, who they are in the knitting community, and you know, it's a really fun thing that I'm trying to partake in, but I'm falling off the bandwagon and just trying to dip in where I can. But yeah, otherwise it's a really fun challenge. You should definitely check it out. I'll pop a link to the hashtag in the description box below, along with everything else that I chat about in this episode. But thank you so much to everybody who mentioned this channel as one of their favorite knitting podcasts. It means so much, guys. It really, you know, brightened my week just seeing, you know, all those mentions come up. So thank you so much. And yeah, it's just been really fun keeping up with all of your Fibery challenge hashtags and uploads. So yeah, that is pretty much it for Administrati. I'm going to get into what I've been making this week, but before I do, just a quick word from my awesome sponsor, Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of classes in design, business, tech, and more, even sewing and the fiber arts. As you probably know, I love learning new things when it comes to knitting, sewing, photography, or whatever crafty rabbit hole I happen to be diving down, which is why I'm all about binge watching classes on Skillshare. And because I know you love learning new things too, I partnered up with Skillshare, and they are offering you, my viewers, 2 months free to try their platform. So give Skillshare a go and learn something new. Just click the link in the description box below and enter the code at checkout. Enjoy! And thanks, Skillshare! And welcome back. Yeah, so what have I been making this week? I have made quite a bit of progress on my Tegna, a awesome pattern by Caitlin Hunter, who's Boylan Knitworks, and this is a very popular pattern, and I have to admit, it was not something I immediately gravitated towards. I don't know why. It just didn't really pop out at me until I purchased some yarn, and it just told me that it wanted to become a Tegna. So the planets, stars aligned, and I was like, I'm making a Tegna. And yeah, here is where I am with it so far. So yeah, the body is done. I shaped the neckline, I joined the sleeves using a 3-needle bind off, and yeah, the neckline is all done. It has kind of like this rolled stockinette hem at the top for a really very simple neckline detail, which I really like. And I love how it kind of has like these, I want to say dolman sleeve shaping to the arms. But yeah, I think there's another, I forgot what it was. Emily Slow Fashion Rebel, she mentioned it's not actually called a dolman sleeve. I think it's just it's a drop sleeve, I should say. But yeah, I just love the shaping of it, how it just kind of has like that very casual, drapey kind of look at the shoulder. And yeah, this is what it looks like at the bottom. So I'll stand up so you can see. And the yarn is Viola Yarns. I think she's at violaandthemoon.com, and of course I'll post a link to her website. But the yarn held together, I'll try and stand close so you can see. It just has this really, really beautiful, it just totally makes my heart sing. And I am not alternating skeins at all. So I want to say the first 2 skeins of mohair and sock yarn that I held together ended about here, and then I picked up with the second skeins around this area right here. So you can kind of see very, very, it's a very, very subtle difference, but nothing that, you know, catches your eye, or it's not jarring at all. So I am not bothered by it one iota. So yeah, you can't even see it. So yeah, that was pure luck, because I was really batting 1,000 there. But yeah, so the body's done. All that's left to do is the sleeves, and they're short sleeves too, because I was hoping I would have enough yarn left over to do kind of like a long sleeve, but I think they're just going to come, the sleeves are just going to come to about here. So because the mohair has the most yardage, I just left that alone. I didn't split it up into 2 separate balls, but with the remainder sock yarn that I have, I think there's about, it's a 100-gram skein, and I want to say like 430 semi-odd yards, 400 meters in 1 skein. So that was, you know, whatever I had left of that, I split that up into 2 balls. So each one of these balls is going to become a sleeve on either side of the sweater. So I'm going to be totally honest, I don't really wear sweaters with shorter sleeves, just because I'm the type of person that likes pulling the sleeves over their hands. But I really do like the look of the sweater, so I have a feeling it's going to get a lot of wear, but you know, we shall see. The only snafu that arose after the fact, after I joined the sleeves together, did the 3-needle bind off, and sewed the neckline, I went to pick up the stitches around the armholes to start knitting the sleeves, and I realized my stitch count was off, and I couldn't figure out, by like a significant amount. I think there's like 12 stitches missing in there, and I couldn't figure out why. And then I looked at both sides of the sleeves, and you know, here's one. You have like some bound off stitches here, and then I began shaping the arms and everything. And then on this side, can you guess what happened? Yeah, so I followed the directions for one sleeve. I bound off stitches for the underarms, but on the second sleeve, I did not bind off any stitches. Yeah, at this point, I'm not gonna rip back all the upper work that I did, so I can go back and bind off some stitches at the bottom. So when I tried the sweater on, it didn't even occur to me that I had made a mistake. It fit fine, it draped fine, nothing stood out to me where I was like, wait, something's off or anything. It just occurred to me when I was picking up the stitches around the armhole. So again, it's not going to affect the look of the sweater. And I have 2 options. One of 2 options that I'm going to go with, that I'm going to fudge it, that I think will work. I could either, with the armhole that I bound off the stitches, I could decrease those stitches by, you know, knitting 2 stitches together at the underarm to make it the same circumference as the other side, or I don't know. I don't think I'm going to do this one, but I could cast on some underarm stitches and then just kind of graft it to the underarm, graft those cast on stitches to the underarm. So there are a few different ways I could go. I may just, you know what? I just thought of this. I could probably pick up some stitches along here, pick up and knit them, and then join them in the round. So I will have the same amount of stitch count as the other armhole. I think that's what I'm gonna do. So I literally just thought of that. So I'm gonna give that a try. I'm gonna give that a shot and let you guys know how that turns out. But yeah, I had a minor freak out because yeah, once you've done all that neckline shaping and you've joined, here's where I did the 3-needle bind off, and I just love the way that looks. But you know, what I'm saying is, after you've done all that work, ripping it back is just not something I want to do, that I have the patience for, and it fits me fine. I'm happy with it, and I'm going to give that a shot. I'm going to give that a go and see how that turns out and keep you updated. But yeah, the other snafu that I had while I was knitting this, while I was actually picking up the neckband, somehow some stitches got dropped and I was left with like these long horizontal loops of yarn that I had no idea like how they got there, you know, where they came from or what. I don't know. I just didn't know what they were until like I laid everything out, spread all the loops out, and then took a crochet hook and took the drop stitches and just basically worked my way up with all those stitches. I think there were like 15, and I just saved each stitch at the top with, you know, some removable stitch markers. Anyway, yeah, it's been an adventure finishing this sweater, but in hindsight, it's a super simple pattern. I just had, I don't know, I must have been tired or stressed out or who knows while I was working on this, and things did not go as smoothly as they could have. But at the end of the day, I think I'm really going to like this sweater. It's so soft and so fluffy. Tegna, almost done. Couple of hiccups, but not freaking out. And in case any of you are wondering, the frogathon for my Chuck sweater, my Chuck pullover that I talked about last week, I have not frogged it yet. I really want to make some time either this weekend or next week to actually film it and show you guys the whole process, just because, you know, a lot of you expressed interest in that. I just haven't gotten around to doing it yet. But yeah, that is where I'm with my Tegna pullover. Love it. So yeah, moving along, let me go get it. Okay, so as I mentioned, last week was my birthday, and I had been watching the Do You Knit podcast, or I should say the Yarn Pimp podcast, which is hosted by Karen Posniak, who runs Do You Knit, a yarn shop in Fanville. I always get that wrong. Fanville, New Jersey, and she's co-hosted with Illana. And yeah, I was just, you know, hanging out knitting, and then Karen mentioned that after Vogue Knitting Live weekend, Stephen West was going to be teaching a class on January 29th and the 30th, and, you know, whoever wants to come, sign up, blah, blah, blah. And I just sat there thinking, I'm like, how cool of a birthday present would it be to myself to just take a class with Stephen West at Do You Knit? So I called Karen and, you know, to see if any spots were available, and sure enough, January, the first slot was all sold out, but January 30th, the day right before my birthday, was still free, so I signed up for it. And I also pinged my friend Hanna, who is the host of the Plays with String podcast. She's also Kawaii Bookworm on Instagram, and, you know, she actually moved, she was studying in Liverpool, she graduated and moved back to the States, and she's actually from New Jersey, so I gave her a call. I said, hey, I'm taking this class with Stephen West at Do You Knit, do you want to join me? And, you know, she got a spot as well, so we made a day of it, and it was just such a fun time, you guys. I had to get up super early to catch a train out to New Jersey. I want to say it's about a 2-hour trip door to door, but you guys, it was a lot of fun. It was so worth it, and I got to meet some new knitters, and I don't know if Dory is watching. Hi Dory, it was great meeting you. And Beth was there, who I met a couple of times at some trunk shows, so hi Beth. But yeah, it was just a really fun, relaxing day, and, you know, the class itself was everything you'd probably expect a Stephen West class to be. Completely inspiring, and it was really just about color theory. I would classify it as a color theory class, because he had all of his shawls, all of his samples there, and showing how, like, the method behind his madness as far as putting color combinations together, fading colors together, and marling colors together. It was just really, really helpful, because if you follow the podcast, you know how many times I've struggled with putting fades together. I get analysis paralysis, and once I have too many options before me, my brain just checks out. And I told him this, and I was like, you know, I brought all of my scrap yarn, you know, that I wanted to work with, and I, you know, paired everything off into potential combinations, and he definitely helped me sort through them, and, you know, gave me pointers on what colors should go with what, so that was super helpful. And, you know, before the class, you had to decide on a project that you wanted to cast on, and I had gone there wanting to cast on the Vertices Unite, but he held up so many marled magic shawls. Well, not so many, he had two. But there were a couple of other people there that had them, and if you recall, I did do a knit along with my friend Laura. Every year we try to do a knit along together, and we chose the Marled Magic shawl, and I cast it on, and it was failure to launch, because the colors, I wasn't totally happy with them, and I don't know, it wasn't jiving. But after seeing all of the Marled Magics in person, it was just, I was just so incredibly inspired. And I told him, I was like, so I was thinking about doing the Vertices Unite, but now I'm thinking I want to cast on a Marl's Magic. And he's like, just do it, do it. I was like, okay, I'm doing it. So I cast one on, and I don't I don't have it to show you this week because I will be totally honest, I did not make any progress on it. Only because I was totally bogarted by another pattern by Stephen West. So Illana, who also works at DUKNIT and co-hosts the Yarn Pimp podcast, she was wearing her brioche pullover, which again is another pattern by Stephen West. It's just this really cool, just full-on brioche pullover sweater. So it's chunky, squishy, and it has this really interesting brioche raglan shaping on the arms. And as soon as I saw hers, I was just like, I want to cast that on. And looking at the pattern on Ravelry, it's not something that I would immediately, again, gravitate towards because, you know, again, I feel like a lot of the samples Stephen West has on his project pages use a lot of crazy colors and different color, you know, combinations. And if it doesn't really, you know, at first glance, if it doesn't really jive with you, it can be hard to kind of see past all the crazy colors and kind of translate the pattern into maybe some colors that you might be more likely to wear or gravitate towards. So getting to see Illana's version, it was very colorful and maybe not colors that I would choose, but just getting to see the actual shape of the sweater got the wheels in my brain turning, and I was just so inspired to cast one on too. So with the help of Illana and Stephen West and my friend Hanna, and I picked out some colors, and here is where I am with my brioche. So it has a little bit of a turtleneck, and again, these are colors that I would most likely not gravitate towards. I mean, this errs on the side of peachy orange, like electric peach, I want to say. And I will say that I blame Shenanigans for this because she showed me the Bolt pullover. I know I'm jumping all over the place, but she showed me a pattern that had some like grays and corals in it, and I was just so taken by that color combination of coral and gray, especially the coral. Again, it's not a color that I generally gravitate towards, but it's something that I would really like to knit with, and I saw this in the shop and I was just like, okay, this is, if I'm gonna wear a coral, this is gonna be the coral that I wear. So the main color for the outside that I'm using, so this main color out here, this black peach color, is, I got 3 skeins of Stitch Together Studios. So this is the main color that I'm using. This is Stitch Together Worsted. It's 100% superfine, 100% superfine superwash merino in her Panda Oranda colorway, and it's just like this really dirty. You get what I'm saying, like a dirty coral orange, variegated color with, you know, lots of like neon orange pops in there, and again, totally out of my comfort zone, but it was exactly what I was looking for. So I'm using that as the main color, and then underneath for the contrasting colors, I'm actually going to be fading some colorways. So for that, I'm using this, which is Walk Collection in her DK weight. So the pattern actually calls for worsted weight, I believe. I could be wrong, but well, this is worsted weight. This the Walk Collection that I'm using is DK weight, but holding the strands together, they look virtually the same weight. So I'm not concerned with that. And yeah, so this is Walk Collection in her Barbarella colorway, which, come on, I mean, yeah. So that's what I'm using now in this, and you can see like the inside. Yeah, and for the second color that I'm going to fade into that is also Walk Collection in, are you ready for it? Art Nouveau. And if you guys know me, I am obsessed with Art Nouveau art. And yeah, I don't know how well you can see it, but there's some pops of coral, orange, greens, but mainly, for the most part, it's this really glorious shade of mauve. The third color that I'm going to fade into it is also Walk Collection Merino DK in her Grunge Pop colorway. And I love me some grunge music. It's just, yeah. So these colors just, again, the planets aligned and a wonderful project came together out of it. And this is Grunge Pop. So it has some, you know, it's kind of like a taupey, like, it's kind of like this pinky neutral, I want to say, with green speckles, pops of pink. Just really, really pretty, really different. And I will actually pop a photo here so you can see the whole array of the, all the skeins laid out together so you can see the fading process of it, if that makes sense. So yeah, that was my haul from Do You Knit. And I was being silly last night, and I got a one of these Keep Knittin' Kitten enamel pins from the shop as well. And I was just like, why just decorate your project bags with enamel pins? Why not decorate your knits? It keeps it fun. Why not? You have stitch markers, and why not pin it up as well? So anyway, had a little fun with that. Yeah, so that is all the projects that I've been working on, you guys. I know I have a lot of other projects, whips on the needles that I need to give some love and attention to. Dennis's pullover, Rift pullover by Jared Flood, which I'm gonna get to very, very soon. Yeah, but anyway, that's all I've been focusing on these past few weeks. But yeah, I am gonna move along to stash enhancement because, yeah, again, I do not have any sewing to share with you this week, unfortunately. I have to say, my sewing mojo is not in a slump. It's definitely not. I just really don't know what to sew right now. Yeah, my birthday dress never really came to fruition. I just kind of tried to take it easy that week, but yeah, no sewing. Maybe, hopefully next week I will have some sewing to share with you. But yeah, without further ado, let's get into the Vogue Knitting Live recap. Living in this tote that I got from Do You Knit. It's really, really fun. It's like this rose gold enamel. It's like this metallic rose gold tote bag that's just awesome. I was actually pretty restrained. So I feel like I only went to Vogue Knitting Live on Saturday. I was planning on going on Friday, but I wanted to save up my energy. As y'all know, I'm a hardcore introvert, so I have to really pace myself when it comes to preparing for socializing and going to social events. So I was already kind of batting 1,000 because the past few days were filled with we're already filled with get-togethers with friends who I haven't seen for a while. Yeah, it was just so much fun, but at the same time, I really do have to be mindful about conserving my energy, and unfortunately, I did not do the best job, but I stuck it out. I had so much fun. It was totally worth the introvert hangover the following week. I know I talk a lot about being an introvert, but at the same time, I really do love socializing and seeing friends and hanging out with them. But yeah, it was such a fun weekend. And yeah, when it came to a yarn haul, I think I was relatively restrained, but it was a haul of it was a haul. So anyway, I don't really know how to describe it, but there is yarn in this bag that I plan on sharing with you. Yeah, this first one here is by Cat Sandwich Fibers. And yeah, poor MJ was so sick. I felt so bad for her, but it was so good to see her again. She came to one of my trunk shows at Do You Knit a couple years ago and so generously gifted me a skein of her yarn, and I've knit a pair of socks with it, and I really wanted to pick up another one of her skeins, and this one just spoke to me. I'm kind of veering towards greens lately, you guys. It's kind of like a taupey neutral green. And the colorway is a non-repeatable, so this is one of a kind, and it's called Willy Nilly. Love that term. I love willy-nilly. I was super happy to get my mitts on this. And MJ, if you are watching, I hope you are feeling better. I know you were really sick, so sending all the well wishes and hugs, and thank you for dyeing such beautiful, awesome, fun yarn. And her Instagram game too. I don't know if you follow Cat Sandwich Fibers on Instagram, but all of her photos of her yarn, they're so very pastel neon candy-like. It's definitely eye candy if you love yarn. So definitely check out her Instagram profile. And then I stopped by my friend Samantha from Lavender Lune's booth. It was so funny because I was wandering around with Hanna, Kawaii Bookworm, and Nina, who's Ine. And at the corner of my eye, I spotted a Vildesmeer, which is a shawl pattern that I designed. And I was like, it was at the Stephen B booth. And I was like, is that a Vildesmeer? There's a Vildesmeer on display? Like, how? What? Who? So I go up to it, and then I turn my head, and there's Samantha. And I was like, Sam! So I stumbled upon the Lavender Lune booth, and yeah, got to say hello, hang out with Samantha, and check out some of her gorgeous yarns. And I actually ended up getting the same skein that Nina got, and here it is. This one is called Seance. Name is all over this one, and this is her single ply fingering base. And yeah, it's just so cool. So cool. I love it. So thank you so much, Sam. This was awesome. Next up, I stopped off at the Ritual Dyes booth and came away with this lovely skein of gorgeousness. And yeah, I had actually first caught wind of Ritual Dyes at Indian Tangled last year, or last October, I should say. And you know, I really love her aesthetic. She has some really beautiful enamel pins, and just yeah, I was just, you know, unfortunately I was doing the rounds and I didn't get to come back and, you know, explore her booth some more, but I really did like what I really liked what I saw, and I was so glad that she was vending at Vogue Knitting Live this year, and made sure that I picked up a skein. And this is her, here's her logo, and this is her maiden base in the leather colorway. And can you guess why I came away with this skein? Yeah, it's just this really awesome shade of mauve, and it's probably going to become a beautiful pair of patterned or lacy kind of socks. Yeah, and then everyone, I think customers got these really beautiful drawstring bags, and so on display she had a lot of Aquarian themed swag, kind of, you know, like sweatshirts and enamel pins and bags and everything. So it was really a really awesome idea. So every month she's going to be releasing a new Zodiac themed product. So I thought that was really cool. So I mentioned to Rachel, I was like, oh, awesome, Aquarius, I'm an Aquarian, this month's my birthday. And she was so kind and generous and actually gifted me the Aquarius enamel pin that she had for this month. And I was just, you know, thank you so much, Rachel. This was really generous of you. So that was really sweet. And yeah, if you have a chance, definitely check out Ritual Dyes. Again, I will link to all of these shops in the description box below. And then I ran into my friend Carlene, who had the Made with Carlenergy podcast, who's Carlenergy on Instagram. I ran into her running around Vogue Knitting Live, and she showed me this set of enamel pins that she purchased from Shelli Can, and I could not resist getting one of my own. So first of all, it comes in a mini pizza box. So there's that, and then you open it up, and you guys, it's yarn pizza. It's yarn pizza, and it's like a slice of pizza with yarn balls. Like, instead of pepperoni, it has yarn balls on it, and then you have like these shakers with, you know, garlic and pepper, but instead there's like yarn balls in there. I could not resist. Again, I'm a huge carbophobe. I do not eat carbohydrates. I avoid them at all costs. I just don't feel good when I eat them. Anyway, long story. But, you know, give me a pizza with yarn on it, and I'm completely sold. Yeah, so I don't know. It's very whimsical, very, you know, little bit of whimsy. So it made me laugh and smile. So I treated myself to that. Yeah, so that was my purchase from Shelli Can. Next up, we have, what else did I get? Oh yeah, so Barnyard Knits is kind of a new to me dyer, but I saw Emily, Slow Fashion Rebel, she had purchased 2 skeins by them that made my heart completely sing. So me and Hannah, you know, after we all did our shopping, we came back up, hung upstairs on the mezzanine, and just hung out in a big group and knit for a while. And then Emily showed me her skeins, and I was like, oh, those look really pretty. So I went back down, me and Hannah went back down to scope it out, and I came away with this gorgeousness. So this is her Winterberry colorway. Again, the greens. I don't know what's up with that. I could totally fade this into something. Possibilities are endless. But yeah, this is her Winterberry colorway, 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, sock weight yarn. Yeah, it's absolutely beautiful. So her colors too are very subtle, very rustic inspired, I want to say. If that makes any sense, but really beautiful shades, definitely worth checking out as well. And then I picked up As you know, like I picked up a couple of skeins at Indian Tangled from the Spincycle booth to knit the shift, or what is it, the night shift, or no, I think it's just the shift cowl by Andrea. However, I did cast that on and it just wasn't jiving with me, but she recently came out with the Shifty pullover. I'll try and pop a photo of it here, and oh my goodness, you guys, I need this sweater in my life. So I picked up a skein that I couldn't remember the name of the main color that I purchased, that I have the most of, and I just kind of I winged it, and I chose one that looked like the one that I got, and I picked up a skein of from the knitting place. They had a booth there, and hi Dinah. I picked up a skein of Spincycle yarns in their dyed in the wool base in Pick Your Poison, and I thought that's what I had purchased. I had several skeins of at home, but turns out that that was a lie. I actually have Idle Nights, like 3 skeins of Idle Nights. So when you put these two together, you really can't tell the difference. This one's a little bit more muted than this one. This one's more bright. But honestly, knitting these two in the pattern, these are going to be the these two colors will be the background, and then the other contrasting colors will be the foreground colors. So I really don't think there's going to be a difference, or it's going to be obvious at all. So I'm not concerned about that. And I think that's it. That is my restrained haul from Vogue Knitting Live. It was just so much fun. And oh, sorry. Ooh, squirrel. So on Friday, Nina from the This Old Knit podcast, she's also Ine on Ravelry, she came into New York to come to Vogue Knitting Live, and the day before we actually went, we met up at Brooklyn General and just spent the whole day there knitting, and it was just so fun to catch up with her again, because at Rhinebeck was the first time that we actually met in person. We've been chatting online for couple years now, so every year we do a either holiday swap or birthday swap, because both of our birthdays are in January, and this year we never there are a lot of things going on, so both of us did not get around to popping our gifts in the mail. So we decided, let's just gift them to each other in person, Vogue Knitting Live. So we did a little gift exchange, and she puts so much thought and effort into all of her gifts, and sometimes I just feel like, why can't I be that cool? But I opened up the bag, and she had like really beautiful, like fun little side gifts, kind of like bath bombs and a stitch marker, or it's over there. I'm not gonna go get it, but a really cute little progress keeper. You'll see it on another podcast, but from Itty Bitty Delights. But I think the present that took the cake, so to speak, were these amazing thrummed slippers. You guys, I squealed. Like when I saw it. Nina, these are amazing. I love you. Thank you so much. I mean, yeah. They're so beautiful and so cozy. I've been wearing them like for those really cold snaps that we've been getting here in New York. I think it went below freezing at some point for a couple of days, and these definitely came in handy. So Nina, thank you so much for these. These are so beautiful and awesome. I'm totally blanking on what yarn she used, but yeah, they're just thrummed slippers, and coziness ensues, my friends. It's just, yeah, thank you. I'm speechless. Yeah, so that is my tiny but mighty haul from Vogue Knitting Live. I think that is all I have to share for you for the content of the podcast. But yeah, just a quick update before I get into the blather segment of the episode. Just a quick little heads up about tomorrow's shop update. I will be having a shop update tomorrow, February 8th at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Hope you can make it. Again, if you'd like to keep in the loop about what yarns, colorways, and bases, and other news surrounding Voolenvine yarns, definitely sign up for the newsletter. I send one out every week. I've been trying to get it out as early as possible. I'm hoping to get it up by today, get it out by today. So, if you are into that type of thing, feel free to sign up for it. And you can do that by going to my website, voolenvineyarns.com, and clicking on the newsletter link and entering your email, and you will be automatically subscribed. So yeah, I think that is it. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to say. There is not. So without further ado, let's get into the blather segment. So this is a segment where I chat about what's been happening in my life. Should you care to stick around? Yeah, so last week was my birthday, January 31st. So again, thank you so much to everybody for all the birthday wishes. I did take some time off with the intention of having a vacation, so went to the Stephen West class, and then the next day on my birthday was pretty much a throwaway day. I relaxed, I just kind of hung out, knit, enjoyed the day, caught up with some podcasts, watched some Outlander, finally. I think it's season 5 or 4 or 5 now, I don't know. They're in America. It's not as great as previous season so far, but I'm hanging in there. Dennis and I, since it was technically still in the middle of the week, we went out to dinner. We stayed local. We went to this really we were driving to the restaurant we wanted to go to, but then on the way spotted this new place that opened up. So it looked really interesting, and it had a really interesting menu. So we decided to check that out. And yeah, it definitely had potential. And it was just a very low key birthday. Although I will say that I started feeling a little, or I was recovering from the Vogue Knitting Live bug that was going around. Thankfully, it didn't hit me full force, but there were like a couple days in there where I felt a little like congested in my chest and a little feverish, but thankfully after 2 days it was, for the most part gone, but I was still kind of like recovering. I felt a little scratchy in my throat, but thankfully I'm all good now. It's all fine. But yeah, I heard a lot of people came down with the Vogue knitting bug. So I hope you guys are all recovering from that at this point. But yeah, so that was my actual birthday. Friday was special. Friday was very special. So yeah, I was, I woke up, turned on the water in the kitchen, and sure enough, there was no water coming out, and it had dropped below freezing that night. And sure enough, yeah, the water pipes froze. And usually it's okay, because even though we can't use the kitchen sink, we have other bathrooms, and the water is usually pretty fine pumping throughout the rest of the house. So we weren't really concerned. When I got concerned, though, is I was just hanging out knitting. Dennis had some, space heaters facing the wall and everything to kind of help it melt and everything. But I went into the bathroom and tried using the sink, and no water was coming out, and nowhere throughout the house. And that kind of sent my spidey senses tingling. So I go into the basement where the dye dungeon is, where I dye the yarn for my shop, and there was a leak. A really, really big leak. There was water everywhere, thankfully just in the space where I dye the yarn. So all of my burners were in there, and water was just gushing out of the wall. And I was home alone. I had no experience in plumbing whatsoever. I just, I called Dennis. I was like trying to be as calm as possible, and I was just like, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? And he's like, you have to turn off the water. And I just like, how do I do that? So he's like, oh, it's, he couldn't tell me exactly where the valve was to turn everything off. So I'm like texting my neighbor, sending them photos, and they're like, okay, I found one valve, and, Dennis was like, try turning that one. And I got out all the wrenches, and I was literally sitting there trying to move this thing and using all my strength to turn this valve. And it was just... It was like Titanic, guys, it was crazy. So finally got that valve turned or whatever, but it didn't do anything. Long story short, that was the gas valve. It was fine. I turned the gas off. The gas was just off, and the water was still going. And it turns out it was a little valve inside the electric closet that I had to turn. Yeah, so, and I didn't realize that until Dennis came home. So yeah, I was basically just trying my best to shoo water out of the studio and out into the garden, and of course our sump pump, the drain was not working, so I was just swishing water around. And anyway, long story short, Dennis came home, we figured out how to shut the water off, a plumber came, fixed the pipe, and now there's insulation in it. The only down part was that a lot of my burners are defunct. They got drenched with water, and yeah, I don't feel safe. I did not feel safe using them. So if you guys follow the podcast, you might recall that I had a goal on my 19 for 2019 list, which is just a list of 19 things that I want to accomplish and do in 2019. And one of those was replacing my dye equipment. Yeah, because I've been dyeing yarn for about 5 years now, and I've been using pretty much the same pots, the same burner, same type of burner, the ones you can easily replace for like 17 bucks on Amazon, and I just really wanted to step my game up and get some stuff that wasn't going to break as easily. So I didn't have a deadline in mind, I just knew that I wanted to eventually do it, and this gave me the kick in the butt that I needed to get that done. And thank goodness for Amazon, because I purchased, like, I literally just panic ordered. Well, I did a little bit of research first, and I found some induction burners that were reasonably priced, that got good reviews, and that were prime, so I could have them delivered the next day. And that's what I did. I ordered 10 burners, 10 new induction pots, and my dye studio now looks like I have an army of stormtroopers in the shape of dye pots. I don't know why it reminds me of stormtroopers. I guess because the bases are white and everything looks so uniform, and I just feel like they're like my little soldiers all waiting for me to use them now. It's kind of funny. But yeah, I mean, talk about silver linings. You know, everything's fine now. The leak is fixed. You know, anyway, it all worked out for the best, and I feel so excited, and, you know, just I've fallen in love with dyeing yarn all over again, because, you know, it's like that excitement when you get new gear and everything, and yeah, so it all worked out for the best. So yay. I mean, it could have been a lot worse, but, you know, thankfully. So anyway, that was a story. So I'm trying to think what else happened that weekend. Yeah, so after that, you know, the following day, Dennis and I, we pretty much spent the day cleaning up the basement, and, you know, so much for a vacation. It was definitely well, it all worked out all right. It was a very stressful weekend for us both. And that night we went out for my birthday. We actually wanted to go to this, like, really nice restaurant, you know, because we had gotten tickets to see a movie, and, you know, I was like thinking, I really don't feel like getting all gussied up and going to a nice fancy schmancy place. Let's just go local. Let's go to a local place that we really enjoy. So we ended up going to this place, YARNGASM, in our neighborhood. It's Greek, and they have octopus, my favorite. So that was really fun. And so after dinner, we had tickets to go see a movie called The Favorite, which I've been wanting to see for a while. And yeah, so we got tickets for that, and it's a movie starring Emma Stone and Rachel Weisz, and it takes place in 18th century England during the time of Queen Anne, and it's definitely one of those kind of dark humor, satire, avant-garde type films, period dramas, which I really love. So if you're into that type of thing, I highly recommend it. So yeah, that was my birthday weekend. Yeah, so I'm trying to think what else. I think that is it. So yeah, hopefully I will have some more time this weekend to probably catch up on some sewing and making and the like, but I will leave it there and see you next week. And if you enjoyed this episode, again, please feel free to like and subscribe. I put out a new video every Friday, and yeah, wishing you a happy knitty weekend. Bye!